he who sought himself, the Grandeur and Solitude of Heraclitus. Translated from French. Heraclitus of Ephesus reaches us, from the depths of ages, through the fragments of a scroll deposited, in the 5th century BC, in the temple of Artemis. It is still debated whether this scroll was a continuous treatise, or whether it consisted of isolated thoughts, like those that the chance of quotation has preserved for us. Heraclitus expressed himself, in any case, in a sibylline, compact style, apt to astonish. He adopted at once the tone of a prophet and the language of a philosopher, hence that epithet of the obscure or tenebrous, skotinos, so often affixed to his name, but which seems to me no less exaggerated. Certainly his reading is rough and difficult to approach. The night is dark, the shadows are thick, but if an initiate guides you, you will see more clearly in this book than in broad daylight. Greek Anthology, from the Palatine manuscript. The fragments that remain of his doctrine are like the flashes of a storm that had mysteriously withdrawn, rending the pre-Socratic night with a fire comparable to no other. Hegel, retracing the emergence of the light of thought, recognizes in Heraclitus the most radiantly central figure. Heidegger goes further. Heraclitus is nicknamed the obscure, yet he is the clear, for he says that which illuminates, trying to invite its light to enter the language of thought. The royalty of refusal. To this apparent obscurity was added, in Heraclitus, a core of pride and disdain for his fellow men, for when a philosopher is proud, he is never so by halves. A crown prince, he readily relinquished the royal dignity to his brother, then refused to legislate for a city he deemed irremediably under the sway of a wretched constitution.
Πονηρά πολιτεία.
There he was, withdrawn in the sanctuary of Artemis, playing knuckle-bones with children. Did onlookers crowd around him, he would fling at them. Why do you marvel, scoundrels? Is it not better to do this than to live the life of the city with you?
Τι, ωμέγα με τον ουκάκιστη, θαυμάζετε, ή τα ομικρον ύψιλον κρήτων τούτο ποιήν με θυμών πολιτεύεστε.
This sage had need of no one, scorning even the society of scholars. For all that, he was not an insensible man, and when he grieved over the misfortunes that wove human existence, tears would rise to his eyes. I have sought myself.
Εδιζησάμινε με οητών.
He confesses, as though he alone truly fulfilled the Delphic precept, know thyself. Nature would feel the sacred terror of this self-sufficiency. One cannot divine, the philosopher of the will to power would say, what the feeling of solitude was that pervaded the Ephesian hermit of the temple of Artemis, unless one finds oneself petrified with dread upon the most desolate and wildest of mountains. The vertigo of universal flux. While at the other extremity of the Greek world, the Eleatic school froze being in an icy immobility, Heraclitus conceived of unity as a river in perpetual motion, which remains the same although always different, the new waves ceaselessly driving the old ones before them. Against the common illusion of permanence, nothing is stable, everything flows.
Pandari.
Everything is becoming. Hegel. All things totter ceaselessly. I do not paint being, I paint the passage. Montaigne. The flowing of all things has this consequence, everything converts into its opposite. If being exists only in change, it is inevitably a middle ground between two opposing terms. At every instant, one stands before that elusive boundary where two contrary qualities meet, a terrible law that applies to the human being himself, whose every age is the death of the one before. Has not then the wrestling vanished in the child, and the child in the boy, the youth in the adolescent, the adolescent in the young man, then, the grown man in the old man? Perhaps, nature silently teaches us not to dread the final death. The aesthetics of the cosmic game. In search of a tragic affirmation of life, nature would make the hermit of Ephesus his closest ancestor. The world, in its eternal need for truth, has eternally need of Heraclitus, he would declare, and elsewhere, the company of Heraclitus puts me more at ease and comforts me more than any other. The acquiescence in impermanence and annihilation, the yes spoken to contradiction and war, becoming, implying the refusal of the very notion of being, in this, I must recognize, the thought nearest to my own that has ever been conceived. What the German philosopher would find there above all was the antidote to Schopenhauerian pessimism. Far from bending beneath the yoke of supposed faults, injustices, contradictions, sufferings, reality frees itself from all morality. It is a child playing, pushing pieces on a board, the kingship of a child.
Πες, παίζουν, πεσεύουν. παιδός οι βασιλιαίοι.
If Heraclitus mingled with noisy children at play in the sanctuary of Artemis, it was because he was already meditating there on the game of the great world child, that is to say, God. The will to power takes shape here in Nietzsche's mind, an artist force that builds and destroys, with the sublime innocence of a child placing a few pebbles here and there, or piling up heaps of sand only to topple them again, beyond good and evil. It is in the footsteps of the obscure that Nietzsche prepares to become the Antichrist, that is, he who rejects the moral significance of the world.